you guys doing? I'm really happy today because I've got one of my team members. Welcome, Ine, to the Facebook Live.
Hi, Megan. Thank you. Hi, everyone.
So Ine she started working when about 8 months ago, Ine, for Onlinepethealth.
Yeah, must be close to that.
And she's a veterinary physiotherapist. And when she first started, I said to her, okay, I'd really love it if you could come and help me on the Facebook Lives. And her reaction was, I'm not so keen on that. So it's taken me 8 months. And so this is a really big day because we've managed to get Ine onto Facebook Live. So it's great to have some support and there's some Onlinepethealth team support.
That's what we're here for, Megan. Behind the scenes, preferably, but this is fine too.
You're going to be great. You're going to be great. Guys, if you guys are listening and you've come on, please just let us know. Give us some thumbs up. Give us some hearts. We just want to know if you can hear us. This is really going to be a really great chat. And we're wanting some feedback from you guys. We want your questions. We're going to be chatting today about research. And Ine and myself, our roles really within Onlinepethealth now are to create amazing content for you. And for those of you that are Onlinepethealth members, you would have just recently now received my latest training video in the business basics section. And my focus this year is to help you guys within your businesses. So, when we first started Onlinepethealth, it was really more about education and doing webinars and educating you in the sort of academic side of veterinary rehabilitation. But this year, I want to focus, me personally, I want to focus on, helping you with all the business skills that you need to make your practices successful. And not only your practices, you as a veterinary rehabilitation therapist, even if you're employed, just the things that you should be doing to be able to put yourself in a position where you eventually do open your own practice, that you've established yourself and get yourself known and have a following and have vets that refer to you. So part of the content that we're going to be doing is that. And we also have created this new thing called Bite Size. And what we found is that obviously with the webinars, everything is like an hour long or longer. And so it's not easy for you guys if you've just got 20 minutes to do some learning. So we've created Bite Size, and Research Refresh is part of Bite Size. So Bite Size will be shorter training. It might be a PDF that you can download and quickly read, sort of like something between 5 to 15 minutes. Research Refresh is what Ine is going to be doing. So I'm going to hand you over to Ine to tell you all about Research Refresh.
Great. So I am really excited about our Research Refresh. And basically what it is I'm taking research papers that are relevant for us, for veterinary physiotherapists and rehab therapists, some for hydrotherapists, some for equine therapists, some for canine therapists, a little bit across the board, but really looking at papers that are relevant for us so that we can all learn to be more evidence-based in our practice. And really it's about saving time. So reading a research paper can take anything from 3 to 6 hours if you're doing it properly. So say the experts, and experience is proving that is definitely true. And we don't have that time. To stay on top of research takes a lot of work, and it's so important and so necessary for our patients and for our field to grow. Veterinary physiotherapy is growing so fast, and it can only grow if we keep doing research. So that's really why I'm excited to be bringing this to you. Yeah.
And Ine and I are by no means experts in reading research. No. So neither of us have been involved in research, but we wanted to come across from sort of the average veterinary rehabilitation therapist. So we could have got somebody who does research, a specialist online here, but we really wanted to find out from you guys, to have a conversation about reading research and where we can find different articles and the things maybe that trouble us. So the things that maybe we don't understand. And so you guys, I want you guys to post in the comments if you have questions that you're just not sure about when you see a research article, what's daunting there. Ask the questions. If we know the answers, we'll answer you. If we don't, then we'll find somebody to be able to answer those. So I had a podcast recently, probably about a few months ago with Lilani Alvarez, and she is one of our lecturers, and she is based in the States, and she has done a lot of research. And if you guys are interested, she gave lots of tips about how to get involved in research. And maybe that's someone in there we can get on. We can get Lilani to come and answer all the complicated questions about research. But what we thought we would do is just go through sort of the structure of a research article and just chat about a few things that we should look at when we're looking at research articles. So, Elaine, do you want to start off by just going through the structure? So when you look at now a research article, how it's laid out?
Yeah, perfect. So if you're looking at an article, you're going to have your title and your authors, and you need to look at that first. So that's going to pique your interest. Is this going to be relevant or not? Your authors, are they people that you know? Are they affiliated with institutions that you know, well-reputed institutions? They need to be well known for their research preferably, but this being a new field and new research, that's a little bit limited. So we can give them that sometimes. Then you're going to have your abstract, which is really a high-level summary from your authors on what is happening in the research paper, a little bit about each section. Your introduction is next, and it goes into a great deal of detail. I love the introduction. It's probably my favorite part of a research paper. It goes into a great deal of detail about what's been done in the past concerning this problem or this topic, what research has already been done, what questions do we still have. It really acquaints you with what they're going to be looking at. It gives you the knowledge that you need to look further at your research paper. Then we look at the methods, or the next part of the paper is the methods. And to me, this is the most important part, because this is where a paper is going to stand or fall. Were the experiments designed properly? How big were your sample sizes? How were they conducted? Were they blinded? Were they double blinded? All these things come into play in your methods, and that's really where you can see, is this paper valuable or is it not so valuable? And so that's generally one of the first things that I look at, is how did they actually conduct this experiment? Am I wasting my time, or am I going to learn something here that's going to help all of us, really? You'll then get your results, which is so much fun because you'll have all your data there, whatever statistical analysis they did. Luckily, in our field, the data that's used is usually simple to understand and to look at. It's not like too much statistical analysis, which can be very, very mind-boggling. So in your data or in your results, you really want to look at any graphs and images that they put in there. Researchers spend a lot of time developing those graphs. So usually they're trying to convey something important, and you can get really good information from that, or really good data from the graphs and images that they put forward for you there. So that's important in your results. And then your discussion at the end is essentially, it's the researcher's opinion of what has just happened. So what the results have meant, it's their interpretation of the meaning of their results, and how they could be implemented into practice, where the shortcomings were, what the limitations were in their research. Could they control all the variables? Did they realize there were more variables than they were expecting? And so now they have some shortcomings in their research. They will tell you hopefully what the next step is. Did they actually answer the core question of, did this treatment work or didn't it work? And how do we, what's the next step for us to get that answer, or how can we improve this study further? So it's so important to be critical when you're reading your results and then your discussion, because the researcher wants to be right. We all want to be right. So it's important for us to really read those sections critically so that we can form our own opinion of what the results mean and what the results say, and then link that back to what the research has said and decide for ourselves, yay or nay, is what they're saying valid or is it not valid? What do we think the shortcomings are? That kind of thing. So reading research, we have to be awake and critical to really gain value from it.
Yeah, so we don't really always have to agree with what's in the conclusion. So, I can remember as a new graduate, I remember reading the conclusion and I'd be like, okay, this is what it is. And then as you get more experience, you start to, and you read, if you go through the whole research article, then you actually start to realize you're allowed to question. You're allowed to question research. You don't have to believe everything that you see there. So one of the things that always comes up, Anne, is if something is statistically, I can never ever say that word easily, significant. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and how we know, looking at an article, if it is or isn't?
Okay, yes, absolutely. So statistical significance comes into your data analysis, and it gets so complicated so fast. So I'm going to try and really keep it simple because it's way above my head. So statistical significance essentially tells you, is this hypothesis right or is it not right? And it has a lot to do with the margin of error that there could be in your hypothesis and your null hypothesis. So your hypothesis, which is the question you're asking, and your null hypothesis, which is the opposite of your question that you're asking. So what is important for us when we read a paper is there will often be a p-value that is above or below 0.05, and that is where we get our statistical significance. So if it is above 0.05, then it's not significant, and if it is below, it is significant, which means that if it's below, our margin of error is really small. If it's above, the margin of error is really big. Basically, more or less, from what I can understand about it. So when you're reading your results, it's important to look at your p-value, and it's important to read significant, because wherever they write significant, it actually means that it means something, that it is significant. It's not like we would just throw out that is a significant something. It means that the data shows that the relationship between these two things does exist and it is valid. So yes, does that make sense, Megan?
Yeah, so I tell you, the easy way for me to understand is that if it is statistically significant, then the likelihood that the results they didn't happen by chance, basically.
Yeah.
So if it's not significant, then there's a probability that there was chance. For example, whatever the way that they've done the study, there's a possibility that it wasn't that they were able to actually say this is what happened. It could have just been by chance. Well, like you could say, well, that could easily have happened if you'd done this. So absolutely. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Like I said, we're not specialists in this, but that's how I look at it. The likelihood that something didn't happen by chance, that they created the research, that it is not by chance. It is so specific that this is what happened, and that makes it significant.
Exactly. So it's got to do with like how you select your sample size and those kind of things. Because if you look at, if your sample size is only, or your sample group is only consisting of, let's say, German Shepherds, and you're looking at the occurrence of hip dysplasia in dogs, and you've only got German Shepherds, the chances that you're going to have a very high percentage of hip dysplasia is huge, where that's not representative of all dogs. So that's more or less how I understand it. But those are the things to look for. Is if they say something is significant, that means the data shows that it is essentially correct. Yeah.
So one thing I want to chat about, I actually went to a lecture. It was supposed to be in Auburn, and it was supposed to be about when we had the IAVRPT conference in Auburn. It was firstly about the latest research in veterinary rehabilitation. And when I went there, the lecture was actually a little bit different. And I must say, after that lecture, it really opened my eyes about research. And the lecturer discussed to us about looking at research articles and looking at bias. And it's something that we don't really want to talk about, but it's there and we need to be aware of it. And so since that day, I always look at an article and I look who's funded the article, who's doing the article, who's doing the research, and do they have anything to gain? So obviously, when we're looking at research, sometimes there are people that want to prove something and they will do whatever they can to prove it. And we just really need to be aware of this, don't we, Anae?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that can really, it can make you, or it should make you question everything you read in that paper 3 or 4 times more than you would otherwise. And it doesn't mean that the results are nullified if they've proven what they are aiming to prove. But it does mean that we need to be very careful about it, about what we take from it. And we need to look at, can it actually be replicated? And yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, no one does research without an agenda. We want to prove that what we're doing is working. So it's a little bit of a difficult one, but we should be aware of it, and we should always look for it. Is this person really trying to prove this for a reason? Are they going to be gaining something from it at the end of the day? Definitely.
So, I mean, for those of you, I mean, I did my podcast with Lilani. We chatted about how a regular veterinary rehabilitation therapist could get involved in research. And so clinical trials is one way. So sometimes, if you're in practice, you might have a company that has some form of equipment or products that they might want to test, and you say, yes, I'd like to be involved. And then you use your actual patients to test some of these products. And I must say, I'm not in practice now because I'm obviously doing online pet health and focusing all my energy on helping you guys. But it's something that I would love to be involved in. I think sort of secretly, I think I wanted to be involved in clinical studies and research. And I think Anae's got that in her too, haven't you, Anae?
Yes, quite a bit, yeah. It would be amazing.
It's so nice to be involved in new research and to be discovering things. I think that's the thing. It's the discovery, changing our field, really. So if you guys are interested in getting involved in any of these, please send me a message. I will let people that are doing research, maybe Lilani, know that there are people that all over the world, doesn't matter where you are, guys, you can be anywhere. You can get involved, and maybe Lilani can help us sort of direct you with the companies or with people that are doing research that need people in the field to test certain hypotheses or products or whatever it may be. Guys, if you have any questions, please post them in the comment section. If you're watching this as a recording, you can also post the comments. We'll try and answer you, or we'll get somebody else that has more knowledge if we're not able to answer your questions. This is going to be something that we're going to be actually doing for our members, the research refresher. Anae's done her first one, and we're going to give this access to all of you. So those of you that are not Online Pet Health members, you'll get access to the first one, but it is going to be a membership thing. So you guys, the Online Pet Health members, you'll have this every single month. So Anae, do you want to just give us a little breakdown of what the first one is going to be about?
Oh, yes. Now I have to remember that. Our first research refresh, Megan, is about thigh circumference measurements. So I don't know any therapists that don't use thigh circumference measurements as an objective tool to measure progress. So this research looks at how repeatable thigh circumference really is, how accurate it is, and I really like the way that they set up the experiments and how they tested it. So they did it in 2 different phases where they looked at thigh circumference measurements.
Don't tell too much.
Okay, don't tell too much, but it is it is really a good paper, and it's worth watching. And we are going to be broadcasting it to everyone, Megan, so you can all see it. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for those of you that came online. And yeah, please look out for all our content. We're going to be writing blogs. Anae's writing academic blogs, which are available to everyone on the Online Pet Health website. I'll be doing the business side of things. And what we really want to do is just try and help you guys that you don't have to spend time reading and putting things together. We're trying to summarize. We're trying to put some tables together for you, just information that makes your learning easy. And especially for me, from the business side of things, I know how long it takes you guys to find out how to do a Facebook ad. I'm going to be putting all that information, making it relevant to veterinary rehabilitation therapists and summarizing it into a 30-minute training so that you guys don't have to sit and try and work things out. And show you the things that work in our field and are specific to our field, because it's very different to when you're looking at a blog and reading about Facebook Lives and Facebook ads and this and that. It's not always, you can't always extrapolate. So I'm hoping to put this together to save you guys time. And next month is our birthday month. So we've got some quite exciting things, and we're going to be giving you guys access to some free things. We've got some cool announcements to happen at the end of the month. So look out for any Facebook Lives or videos and announcements from us. Anae, thanks for your time.
Megan, could I just add one more thing? Because I think it's so important. Even though we are going to be doing the research refreshers, and my blogs are going to be a little bit more academic and focused on the research that's out there, I really want to encourage everyone to look at research. Like, there is so much out there. We're limited in how much I can cover. One research refresh a month and maybe one blog, that's only 2 research papers a month that you would be exposed to. If you watch our webinars, most of the time our researchers are citing research. Go and find those papers. And when you've found those papers, or if we've covered a research paper that you found really interesting, don't just take us at face value. Go find it, look at it for yourself, and look at the references. I forgot to mention the references earlier, Megan. The references are so important because they lead us to all the other research on the topic, and sometimes not quite on the topic. And it's like a never-ending fantastic spiral where you can just go from one paper to the next paper to the next paper to the next paper to the next paper, and it's something that we should all be doing to a degree. So I really want to encourage you, even though we are doing this to save you time and to give you as much exposure as we can to research papers, you should still be going and looking for them for yourself, finding them for yourself. There are loads of them that are free. We were just chatting about the 2 platforms where I tend to find ours are Elsevier and Science Direct. Most of them are for free on there, and there's some really good stuff. So yeah, I think it's important that we personally, each and every one of us stays up to date on research.
And I think those are peer-reviewed ones, aren't they? So that means that there are a whole lot of other people in the field who've actually looked at the research and said that it is significant and relevant, right?
Exactly.
And those are good ones.
Yeah.
Those are good ones.
And it can be as simple as you find a paper that you think is great and you don't have time to read it, so you send it to us and I'll do it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, if you've got research you want us to summarize, you want us to look at, send it to us. And any other topics or anything that you're interested in. Maybe there's something that you feel like you're lacking in. Whether you're a member or you're not a member of Online Pet Health, send it to us, guys. We're here to help you guys in whatever way, wherever you're lacking, we're here to help you. And I loved how you talked about that, about looking at all those references and how it spirals and you get so excited. I love it that you love your job.
I do love it.
You're going to take off.
it is a lot of fun. No, it's amazing.
Cool, guys. Thanks to you guys for coming on. Thanks for all the hearts and the likes. We'll see you guys next month for the next Facebook Live. And thanks, Anae, for joining me. It was so great to have you online with me. Thanks for the company.
It's a pleasure. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys.